Hey, my prepared peeps, my ownership revolution tribe. This is Natria Bobby Robinson, the prepared agent. And have I got a treat for you guys today? Oh my gosh. Let's, Listen, let me get to it. Her name is Cidnii Woods, and she's going to talk about her business. We have chatted and had a really good conversation, and we were like, this has to be on the podcast. This has to be a topic that we talk about, which is ownership in financing. So, financial ownership. So, I'm going to go ahead and let Cidnii Woods tell us a little bit about herself and her business, and then we'll dive into it. Go ahead, Cidnii. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, great. All right, share with everybody about your business.
Awesome. Yes. So I am Cidnii Woods. I am out of Houston, Texas. I'm an accountant of over 20 years. We'll leave it at that. I have, um, worked with a variety of individuals over, my career. I spent some time in the CPA space working with high net worth individuals in the entertainment industry. So that was fun. Um, and then eventually I decided to transition and, start my own thing where I'm helping more people, helping individuals, helping business owners to just be successful on the financial side of things. So within my business, I, serve a lot of different people within the community, from life insurance to income tax preparation, helping people to, or helping businesses to keep their books in order, educating those business owners on how to do it themselves so that they're confident and comfortable knowing that they're doing the right things on a day-to-day basis and not just showing up at year end, um, hoping and praying that the tax return comes out
Oh yeah.
as they expected, right? And then I also have a debt management piece because, with the pandemic, though, people were struggling. And now that things are getting back to normal, they're looking to dig out of those holes that they may have created for themselves. So I also help people on the debt management side just to ease into things and take the stress away from it and help them to feel more comfortable in that space as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is much needed, especially with all the stuff that was going on during the pandemic, and so this is much needed. So you and I, we've had these conversations about finances and business owners. Let me ask you from the perspective of a brand new business owner, brand new to the table, like you just started your business yesterday.
Yes.
Is it important for you to be able to establish an accountant at this stage of the game?
Um, I would say yes and no. Yes, in the aspect of learning and getting educated. As a new business owner, unless you have a lot of capital coming into the business, it's going to be hard to keep up with, the fees and everything that comes along with hiring an accountant.
Okay.
So I would work with them on the basic levels, maybe working with them, like I said, on the education side so that, you as the business owner know exactly what you should be um, looking forward to within that year and what your obligation is to the business on the finance side. And maybe have them look at things on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, just so that they can point you in the right direction and guide you to share, what things you might not have done correctly, so that you can correct it early and move forward through the year. I think that would be, some of the best places to start as a brand new business owner.
So that would be more consultation or consult.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So now when we talk about that aspect of it, a person who's probably been in business for years, never had an accountant.
Right.
Um, the benefits, what are the benefits at this point for somebody who's been in business like 5, 7 years, has
Mhm.
been an accountant, but they are making some decent income?
Right.
Why would they need an accountant at this point?
At this point, as I would say, established business owner, you'd definitely benefit from an accountant so that you know where your business is today, just to look back at the history and what it is that you've done, how you've grown over those 5 to 7 years, start planning for the future, where you want your business to be, and start setting pace on, any income goals you have, any large purchases that you're looking to make, because as the business grows, especially at that level, if it's gotten to a successful point, you might need to start infusing more cash into the business and buying equipment and leasing office space, or depending on the type of business that it is. So those are definitely conversations that are good to have with an accountant, so that you as the business owner can do some planning. Also, some business owners at this stage of the game are not using an accounting system, so this might be a good time to integrate that so you can become more advanced on the accounting side and learn how to keep the books, keep the ledger, because as you get those bank loans and start doing larger transactions, people are going to start requesting your financial statements. And you don't want to scramble at the last minute trying to figure out what is a balance sheet and what is an income statement. You want to be building that as you go. So in the event anybody asks, it's like, here it is. This is my first 6 months. This is what last year looks like, and you're ready to go. There's no delays in the transaction, and you can just keep things going.
I hope you guys heard Cidnii say that, right? The information will be readily accessible, right? And that's going to help you to continue to grow your business, right? At the end of the day, right?
Yes.
So now we talked about that, but I really want to dive into, because from the perspective of ownership in finances, as I shared with you about, speaking with my daughter about finances and things like that, but also on the business side is very important. It seems like, again, disclosure is a really big issue, right? I don't know necessarily if it's because we're scared, or we're just, our mindset is used to not exposing or sharing things, or we think that things may seem negative if it is, seen. I don't know what it is, but can we talk a little bit about that hurdle, or that issue, if you will, about,
Yes.
because sometimes I'm like, I was there, so let the truth be told.
Exactly. So yeah, and this topic, I would say that it's natural. As you grow into new areas, there's always this hesitation, and I wouldn't just pinpoint it on finance. Anything we navigate into throughout our lives that we haven't been exposed to in the past, there's a little bit of hesitation, right? And we're not really sure what the outcome is going to be. And it can be the small things as well. But you're absolutely right. When it comes to finance, we tend to not really want to divulge much, or not want to show our entire hand, because the other party may think, oh my gosh, they're way out of their league. I don't even know why they even decided to have this conversation. And we just don't want to feel embarrassed. But one thing I've been educating my business owners on recently is a no is not a no.
Right.
So if they ask you for the information, share it. And if they're and if that relationship is good, and they are honest and actually interested in helping, they will give you the information so that you can be approved in the future. So if you get denied, I wouldn't even worry about it, because there's always next time. And I always advise to start early. So if you're planning on, in the real estate, market, if you're planning on buying a home, maybe start 6 to 12 months early, so that you can get that decline early and they can give you the recommendations to improve. So when you're really ready and you need to move forward, you can have checked off those items that needed, that needed improvement. So I wouldn't be afraid to share because everyone's new to a lot of different areas. And you don't know if you don't get the information.
That's true. I think too, we are so used to hearing when an accountant steps in, it's like at the worst possible time, like you messed it up and now you need, you know, Superwoman or Superman to come in and save the day. But that's not necessarily the case. We need to educate and start early, and that way it helps us, right, in the long run. A lot of times people don't even know that an accountant is needed, even at a base level. You have one, you're the only employee. That doesn't make a difference. You need tax help, you need an accountant, you need guidance, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so that's truly something I want you guys to really think about because it is a key and important step in the process of building wealth in your business, right?
Absolutely.
Now, are there any tips or suggestions that you could give for a small business owner, as far as what they should be doing or can be doing to help themselves in the interim? Is there some tips?
Yes. Just a few key things. I want to go back to the point you were just making about, always maintaining that relationship with an accountant. You may not necessarily need them on an ongoing basis, but you want to have a maintenance plan for your business.
Okay.
So as things change, I would touch base, have a conversation. How does this affect me today? Is this necessary? Am I doing the right things? Because you're bringing people into your business all the time. They may not necessarily be an employee, but you may have to hire subcontractors, or you may have to hire this person to step in and help with this task. The one key thing I've been making a point of recently is 1099s. And a lot of people like to shy away from 1099s because, I don't want to make it seem like, I'm the tax man and I'm trying to force you to pay taxes. Well, the only way you as a business owner can validate that expense legally within your business is to issue that 1099. If you're paying someone and you're paying them large numbers that the IRS may not deem, normal and customary, they're going to come back and challenge you. Well, if you don't have any documentation to supplement that, which is the 1099, then they have the ability to disallow that large expense, that was reducing your tax liability. So I would think of it from the business owner perspective as protection.
Okay.
So at any point you pay anybody more than $600, you want to make sure that you're getting a W-9 from them so that you can issue them a 1099 at the end of the year. So you have proof when you write that off on your tax return as a tax deduction. So that's one of the key tips that a lot of people, aren't aware of. And they think of it as a negative because a lot of people, well, I want to get paid under the table. And which is another good point.
Yes.
Because you want to get paid under the table as a business owner, but why are you in business? You're in business to make an income, right? So why would you want to hide what you're receiving?
Another thing about that is that's long term, that might bite you in the butt later on, right? As like, say for instance, you might be able to be paid under the table, but let's say for instance, you want to buy, I'm just throwing out here because I'm a real estate agent, right? Out.
Yeah.
So that income, they're going to verify your income, right?
Yeah.
But if you're paying under the table, that's not legitimate income to the
Yeah,
government or a lender or anyone else, right? So
yeah,
I mean, it would behoove you to, have a 1099 in that instance, right?
that's documentation.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So that you're receiving the income. And
Uh,
just do, maintain those touch points, like I said, and keep track of those expenses. Because if you're earning income, you're spending money because no business can grow without an infusion of cash to keep it going. So just because you're earning money, you're spending money at the same time. And anything you spend is reducing that income down, which is minimizing your tax liability and your tax bill. So I wouldn't be scared to make money because that's why you went in business in the first place.
awesome. And I think a lot of people they try to hide it because
Yeah,
for some reason they think, hide from the tax man.
yeah,
Hide from the tax man. Let me
exactly.
ask this.
Yes.
Um, any myths out there about like write-offs, things like that that you see in the business sector that you're like, no, 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 that can't be. And I know you're smiling, so I know there's got to be a couple of those out there, right?
Yeah, there's a few things that I've been hearing about recently. One is buying a car, and I forget the weight because I haven't looked at it in a while.
Right,
That weighs, yeah, so many pounds, and then you can write it
right.
off. Yeah, 100% on your tax return. Well, that's pretty much a G-Wagon. The car that they're referring to is the size of a G-Wagon. So if you don't have $70,000 to $80,000, $100,000 to purchase a car, they're not speaking to you.
Did you guys hear that? They're not
Yeah,
speaking to you. Don't
yeah.
don't go out tomorrow.
Yeah, and think that just because you buy the car, you can write it off 100%. But not to say that purchasing a car is a disadvantage. You still get a tax deduction for having a car. They tend to put out these TikTok reels, and only give you part of the story. And you're like, oh man, yeah, let me go and get a car, and I won't have to pay any taxes at all. Well, no, because that's only part of the story. So I would definitely, anything you see, I would seek advice, ask someone, learn more about it before you jump into something that you may or may not be ready for. So yeah, that's one that I've been been hearing about recently.
Oh my God, don't go buy a new car. Well, right now, new cars are extremely expensive now.
Oh yeah,
Even used cars are extremely expensive. So yeah, don't think that that applies to everybody. Don't
yeah,
think that.
yeah.
Um, any wisdom on things that people should be looking at right now? Because I know one of the things that is so popular right now, and it might be on the personal side of accounting, not necessarily the business, is this
Right.
thing with the
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
student loan. Hey, $10,000, $20,000 if you had a pill or whatever. Have you gotten any calls on that at all?
I haven't gotten any calls on it recently, but I have been following the information because I have student loans and I can definitely use as much advice as possible when it comes to the area. So I stay abreast so that I can, share the knowledge and be educated on the topic. So yes, what the Biden administration has put out there is that they will forgive $10,000 for anyone who has student loans that have made, I think it's less than 75,000 a year.
Uh, yeah,
Is
something like that. Yes. And then if they're married, something, a
yeah,
100,000 or something. Yeah.
absolutely. And if you received a Pell Grant while you were in college, so meaning that you received some sort of financial aid in the form of a grant, so Pell Grants are not loans; they are grants given to the students as just, I guess it's supposed to be free money, but as we've learned over the years, nothing is free
Absolutely.
to help pay for college.
Y'all hear that? You heard it, right?
Nothing is free. You're paying for it on the back end, or somebody else is paying for it
Yes.
in the form of income tax.
Yes.
So if you receive the Pell Grant, then you'll get $20,000 taken off of your loan balance. So that's still to be seen. We're going through the processes. I have NailNet, and so they reached out to me about 2 months ago and gave me a heads up and encouraged me to start the process early. So I thought that was a great advantage. And what I've learned is a lot of people didn't receive that heads up from their loan servicers. So at the last minute, when everything was announced and they said go,
Yeah.
everyone was scrambling, crashing websites and trying to figure out how things are supposed to.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's very interesting. This at some point, does this affect anything from a small business perspective at all? Because I know it can't be counted as income.
No.
However, I did hear like some states are trying to do that, like calculate it as income. With that, and I was wondering, would that maybe affect a small business owner if they count that as income, have to count that as income?
Because it's still personal.
Okay.
And depending on how the business is structured, personal and business are totally different entities.
Say it
Um,
again.
Personal and business are totally different entities. You have a social security number as an individual, and the business has a tax ID number.
Yes.
So you are not one and the same. So each entity stands alone.
Separate.
Yes.
Some businesses do not know that.
Yeah.
And that is important.
It is.
Separate.
Yes.
Separate bank accounts, separate.
Exactly. And the only exception is not self-employed, sole proprietor.
Yes, okay.
Because of course you're using your social security number to run the business. But outside of that, you are not the same and you operate totally different.
Awesome. Okay. So just so you guys are aware that this quote unquote money that's being forgiven for student loans will not impact the business side of things. That's important to know because there are some small businesses out there that still operate not separate. Which they should.
They should.
To give you a key tip, guys, you should.
And not doing so, you could be missing out on more business deductions than you are personal. So I would make sure I get that education on the business side to find out what it is the business should be doing in order to maintain and run effectively. So both on the legal side and on the accounting side, because you do need an attorney.
So you need to set up appropriate the business the appropriate way.
Yes.
So you can maintain. So what about those businesses that we all know and love, the MLM businesses? Does that apply the same way?
It depends on how big and how much income. Most MLMs, they're making a few $100s here and there. Some have broken into the thousands. Unless you're making a large volume and you've, in the most cases, reached the top, then it really doesn't affect you because they're just going to issue you a 1099 for the money that you've earned, and you'll file a Schedule C on your personal return. Okay. So I would say that it's not that huge of an impact on MLM businesses.
Hey, this is stuff to know, guys. I mean, seriously, we're trying to get bare bones minimum with ownership in your finances. Is there anything like from the setting up business accounts or monitoring your credit card usage as a business or anything like that that would be helpful to our community here, prepared community?
Yes, it's extremely important to have a business account, especially when you have an entity. Having an entity and still using your personal checking account is not okay. And thought that that was a given, but I've run into a few individuals over the years who were just operating out of, oh, I'm using my personal checking. And I'm like, yeah, no, that you really, you can do it, but you shouldn't do it. And that's what they consider commingling.
Yes.
Let's say it again, Atria, you and the business are two different entities. So you're essentially stealing somebody else's money.
Yes, because I'm Natria Robinson. My business is the prepared agent.
Yes.
I am physically the same person, but two separate entities,
Yeah,
right? A
you are a
business and a person.
right, a shareholder, a member, a partner, but you are not that entity.
Absolutely, which is great. This is really great information, guys, and I pray that you guys are taking this. There's so much more to learn in the area of accounting. I like so much, and as a small business owner, you really should dive into learning more about this. This is very important. It's important to be able to build that foundation, important to actually establish yourself as a true business owner. If you have not done this before, you've been in the business for a while, even seasoned people who think they have it all together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Could use just somebody to touch eyes on what's going on in your business, give us an opinion. You may be missing some valuable, tax benefits or something like that with your business. Some tips to help your business to grow that you never thought of before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I would say treat your accountant like you treat your attorney.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You go to them when you need advice because you're not really sure how to handle things, or things might not be going how you think they should be. You have a conversation with the attorney and they point you in the right direction. That may be all you need.
Also, things change. Tax laws sometimes they change, or you may have been doing this for 20 years, but
Yeah.
there may have been some things that have changed over that timeline that you might want to speak to somebody professional about.
Yes, because so many people come to me and say, well, now I'm working from home. Can I write off all of, no, they took that away in 2017. You can never, you can't write off unreimbursed employee business expenses. That no longer exists.
See? What about I know they extended during COVID something about food or something as well, and that changed.
Business.
Uh, to write off a certain amount, right?
Yeah.
They increased it for a certain period of time, and then they changed that. How many people in your business were doing that, and then are still continuing to do that because maybe you didn't keep abreast on the change that went back, and you may not have known that, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So things like that.
Yeah.
Cidnii, let's plug your information again. Come on. So let's see how you can reach out to Cidnii so that she can help you.
Yes, you can reach me at cidnii.com. So that's CIDNII.com. I'm also on LinkedIn as Cidnii Woods, also as Woods Financial Services. I'm on Instagram at Ms. MS.C. Woods. And so you can find me in all of those places.
Yeah, and we're gonna get her on TikTok.
Yeah, we'll get on TikTok. I also have a YouTube channel.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I'm on YouTube as Woods Financial Services. So definitely follow me and check out the content as I start to build.
Absolutely. Well, definitely, I thank you. Thank you so, so much. This is good information content, and guys, I really do want you to be successful in this area. I do have one other question, Cidnii, because
Absolutely.
I have to get in a real estate.
Yes.
Okay. investors, people who are starting these Airbnb businesses or arbitrage, or they're doing rental properties and things like that, but they're now under like their LLC or what have you. If they're just starting this business out as far as investing in the real estate sector, is there something that they need to do when starting something like that up?
When they're starting that type of business, whether it's, straight real estate investing, you buying a property, renting it out to a tenant long term, there's so many different rules that come into play depending on how large or small you're starting out. And for this topic and the beginning point, I would say an attorney is the first place you should go, because they will tell you structurally what you need to do. And once they give you that structure, it gives you the ability to build. And after you have that conversation with the attorney is when you go to the accountant, because they're going to mirror what the attorney has guided you to do. So when it comes to the tax and accounting conversation, if they say, oh, you're just doing a single family, you only have one home, you doing it as a sole proprietor is okay. Just for an example, not saying that that's right and true.
Time, guys.
So if they give you that guidance, then when you talk to your accountant, you can say, okay, I'm still a sole proprietor. I own this one property. Here's all of my expenses. Here's my income. Now they could say, this is just too large. You're growing too fast. You need to be an LLC, or you need to form a partnership, or you don't want this to be complicated. So the attorney, I would say, is the best place to start. And then you have that conversation secondarily with your accountant.
I love that. You guys hear there's a step and a process, and she's sharing that with you. Not a lot of people would say that. They will automatically say an accountant, right? Because they're thinking about the finances, but she's giving you some really wise advice to seek attorney information first about the business, right? And what you're getting is investors. And the reason why I'm asking that is because I've gotten a couple of requests from investors just wanting to get into the investing stage. And I'm saying they're trying to buy 2 and 3 properties in one shot.
Exactly.
So if you are trying to go down the route of being an investor and having that type of a business, attorney first.
Yeah.
And then reach out to Cidnii.
Don't go to the Secretary of State. Go to the attorney.
Oh, you hear that? Go to the attorney.
Yes.
And then let them tell you how to structure that specific type of investing or company, corporation that you're trying to form, so that you know that you're taken care of. And then once they've given you, specific details, contact Cidnii, and then she's going to ask you exactly what the attorney has stated.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be able to guide you to how you'll be able to go ahead and take care of that from the perspective of finances, right?
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay, good. So that didn't come from me. That came from Cidnii. I'm a real estate agent. I will help you buy those investment properties and sell them.
Mm-hmm.
But you heard it from the source of what to do next. So there you go, guys. I will be directing any investors to this segment of the video, so we are all clear. Thank you, Cidnii. Thank you. And any last words of encouragement, especially during this time where things are shaking up, interest rates are high, people are on heightened alert because everybody thinks there's a crash, or it's for small business owners, any words of encouragement or inspiration?
Just be patient, and be patient with yourself. Don't put any undue pressure on yourself to do one thing or another. I know that's easier said than done. We're living in a very stressful society right now. We have been for the past 2 years. And just be patient with yourself. Put everything in perspective, gather the information, have the conversations. And I always lead with take you into consideration. Everything else is secondary. Your peace of mind is first and foremost. Yes, like we said earlier, it may not happen today. Plan accordingly. Make sure you're not scrambling at the last minute and hoping that, oh my gosh, by January, I need to make sure that this house closes. Please don't do that to yourself and put yourself in an unnecessarily stressful, situation. Just take you.
Breathe. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And I'm doing it myself. So it's not easy. And I understand that. But we as people are the biggest priority.
Absolutely. 100%. Because you can't take care of yourself. You're not going to be able to take care of others, and you're not going to be able to move forward in your business. And that's definitely key and important. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Cidnii. Guys, we're going to have her back as things, well, Cidnii, you're going to tell us when you're available. I'd love to dive more into some of the things from a small business perspective. Um, those maybe even our next conversation, maybe growing into a small to a medium-sized business and what that look like, and how, at what point should someone be doing that? Because they may think they're still small business, and you look at their funds and they're like, no, no, no.
You've exceeded that a long time
Yeah,
ago.
that kind of a thing. And you're still in that mindset, and maybe that mindset needs to change a little bit and it be structured a little bit differently than what it is. So maybe we'll get into that.
Awesome. Sounds good to me.
Awesome. All right, guys, follow Cidnii, reach out to her, hire her, and let's show some love to her. And Cidnii, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
Yes. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.